Today we're going to talk about something about the security part of Kubernetes. There are certain things you need to take care. Uh, Say for example, your Kubernetes is hacked. It have a serious consequences for an organization that uses to manage a containerized application. Here are some potential impacts of Kubernetes hacks. One is data breach. Two is disruption of service. Three is unauthorized access. Four is malware injection. Five is resource abuse. Six is loss of reputations. So these are the things it may impact actually. Basically, you have to secure the Kubernetes cluster. There is no doubt on this one. So without wasting any time, we can just get into the video. Okay, before getting to the video, please do subscribe my channel to get more informative content. I will be very happy if you hit the like buttons and if you subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. Enable role-based access control. Basically, we say RBAC. Use RBAC to defend granular permissions and limit access to the Kubernetes resources. Use strong authentication. Ensure that strong authentication is used to control access to Kubernetes resources. Secure Kubernetes API server. Your API server has to run on 443 with HTTPS and certificate has to be in place. It should not run on non-HTTPS. Configure Kubernetes API server with only allow secure connection. Use network segmentation. You should have an isolated VPC, isolated subnet, and then you have a certain network configuration on your network layer. Use network segmentation to isolate Kubernetes API server and nodes from the public internet. Encrypt sensitive data. There are base 64 and lot of encryption algorithm mechanisms are there. You have to encrypt the sensitive data which is there in the secrets, keys, and certificate. Monitor Kubernetes activity. Monitor Kubernetes activity to detect and respond to suspicious activity. There are a lot of open source tools are available in the market. You can use those tools and you can uh, integrate it and you can monitor those the traffic which is coming into your KATS cluster. Please use it wisely. Restrict privileged access. Avoid using the privileged containers or granting the privileged access to the users. Use pod security policy. We say it's a lot of the security policies which is totally dedicated to the pod layer. Implement those security policies to enforce security control on pods running on the cluster. Configure network policy. We say it's a network and pol or net pol. Use network policy to control communication between pods and limit exposure to the cluster. So this where exactly help is like your pod has to communicate only to the DB pod. It should not communicate to the any other MQ or any other third party API pod. So you can limit those network configuration at the pod layer. We say egress. Enable image verification. We have to take a proper verified images from the repository. If you go for the public repository, there are tons of lot of images were available. Those are having a malware, and you have to check only the verified images, and you have to use it in your production environment. Use container runtime security. There are certain tools such as SE Linux, App Armor to restrict containers to access to the host. Say for example, you are using any malware related the containers, and if you don't have any SE Linux enabled, it will impact your host and it will get hacked automatically. Implement audit logging. Use audit logging to track users and system activity within the cluster. Use admission controller. The admission controller to validate and mutate Kubernetes object before they are created. Regularly review and update security policy. You have to review and update the security policy regularly to ensure they are effective and up to date with latest threats and vulnerability. Basically, it talks about the patching. You have to patch your KTS cluster. If you don't patch your KTS cluster, it will get hacked automatically. There are a lot of vulnerable on the version of KTS, so you have to manually upgrade your cluster. That's all I have. I will see you in another lecture. Thank you so much.